So let's talk about Kamala Harris. She's got a new book out, doing pretty well, and we congratulate her on that. And, I like to see people succeed, even if I don't agree with them. I don't know Miss Harris. She never talked to somebody like me because she only does interviews with friendly people, who kiss her butt and who she knows not going to ask her tough questions. However, that changed a little bit in London. And this is pretty amazing. But let me set it up for you. So Kamala Harris is making noise that she may get back into politics on a national level in 28. She may run again for the Democratic nomination. Well, that's been mixed. The progressives don't really like her all that much, even though she'll sell out in a heartbeat, in my opinion. She doesn't really have many principles. But she continues to harp on that Biden was a good president. And this sunk her. And I'll play the soundbite in a little while on The View when she said, no, I wouldn't do anything differently. Most people understand that Joe Biden was a disaster as president. So she's over in London promoting the book. She gives an interview to an Australian, ABC, Australian Broadcasting Company's Sarah Ferguson. This happened on October 29th. Roll the tape.
Wasn't Joe Biden then, to put it on him, wasn't his refusal to recognize his own frailties the reason that you faced a nearly impossible task?
I ran against Donald Trump for president, and Donald Trump ran on a platform that was in large part, I believe, misrepresenting his intentions to the American people. I do believe that there are a fair number of people that voted for Donald Trump who believed him when he told them that his first priority on day one is going to be to bring down prices. And he didn't. And you combine that misrepresentation of intention with also what was at play in terms of massive amounts of mis and disinformation.
Now, forgive me.
And a truncated calendar in terms of the clock.
I want to interrupt you because that is a world-class pivot, but it is not the question that I asked you, which is about Joe Biden's failure to recognize his own frailties and what that did to you. The question is about Joe Biden. Are you still reluctant to criticize the former president?
In what regard, please?
Well, just in terms of that question. So you went on.
What exactly would you like to ask? Be more specific, if you don't mind.
Was it Joe Biden's decision, his failure to recognize his own frailties in that position, that put you in the position that made it almost impossible to win that race?
He was not frail as president of the United States.
But he had frailties. We all saw the debate.
I do believe that Joe Biden had the capacity to be president of the United States, and I have never doubted that he had the capacity to be president of the United States.
That pretty good interview by Sarah Ferguson, I mean, you wouldn't see Americans on the left, and the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, pretty left, do that. So Kamala Harris, he has a capacity to be the president of the United States. I don't want to give her nightmares, Ms. Harris, but if she continues that, she'll never get elected to anything ever again. So let me just run down the facts in a non-hysterical way. So border crossings under the Biden administration, 4 years, highest in U.S. history by far. Drug smuggle, record amounts of fentanyl and other opiates. Homelessness increased 33% in the USA in 4 years. Energy prices up 33%. Insurance costs to individual Americans up 24%. Total inflation, more than 21%. U.S. debt went from 28 trillion to 36 trillion. That's an added 8 trillion in debt in 4 years. Money sent to Iran, 6 billion. Much of that money went to building its nuclear facility that Donald Trump bombed. Russia invades Ukraine, February 24, 2022. Biden, what did he do? Military recruitment for America, 4 years, 60,000 shortfall. 60,000. fewer military people signed up than we should have had under Biden. Now, if Kamala Harris wants to think that's a good record, then she's not living in the real world. And this harkens back to what sabotaged her in the campaign where Trump beat her. Roll the tape.
If anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Are you kidding? So I gave you all of those stats, and she wouldn't have done anything differently? She would have had that open border, allowed record amounts of narcotics into this country, supervised an explosion of homeless people? The reason that she said that, Kamala Harris on The View, is because she didn't know what was going on. She might have been in the discussions, but you'll remember that Biden tried to pawn off the border on Harris, who was furious about it, and said, you go down there and come up with some kind of solution. Harris went down for about 20 minutes to El Paso and never went again, ever. Homeowners, when is the last time you checked on your home title? If your answer is never, then this is for you. Scammers are stealing titles, and your equity is a target. Criminals forge your signature. Just like that, your home title can be transferred out of your name. That's why I partnered up with Home Title Lock, so you can find out today if you're already a victim. Please use my promo code BILL at HometitleLock.com, and you'll get a free title history report. Plus, you will get a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts of any changes, and if fraud does happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code BILL. If you're going to run, madam, for president in 28, this is still going to be there. Now, I don't know how the Trump administration is going to do the next 3 years, but for the first year, Donald Trump's done more than Biden did in 4 years, by far. And you may not like him. You may not oppose what he's doing, trying to remake the economy. That's a dicey situation. Okay? But the man's trying. Biden sat there. So I don't, I think it's what they call a disassociation. That Kamala Harris, for whatever reason, has been pampered her entire life. In California, she had the nominations handed to her, Attorney General, all the local stuff she did, DA, handed to her. And she never really engaged in the big picture. And the same thing with Vice President. Here it is. There's never a litmus test. She was never tested. And she lives in a bubble. She lives in a world that doesn't exist. Doesn't live in the stat world, in the world of what actually happened and is happening. And that's why she lost. Because Americans say, if she thinks that Joe Biden was a great president and wouldn't do anything different, and that's what the woman continues to say, we can't support her. So that's not going to change. All right, Biden's going to go down as the second worst president in U.S. history. If you don't believe me, read my book, Confronting the Presidents. I just lay it on out for you. I mean, the decision to open that southern border, leading to 15 to 20 undocumented migrants coming in here unsupervised, was the worst decision. Remember, that was just an executive order type thing. Congress didn't pass that. Was the worst decision any chief executive has ever made in the history of the country. It's costing us trillions of dollars. Thousands of people have been killed by criminal migrants. For what? So you could get votes down the road? Which is the prevailing wisdom. Biden's never explained it. Kamala Harris has never explained it. She's the czar. Why'd you do it? Why do you support it, madam? That's the question. You don't have to get complicated. Madam Vice President, why did you support the open border? And you know what she'd probably say? Oh, it wasn't open. Hello, 15 to 20 undocumented migrants here? Wasn't open. No. All right. So it's my job to give you the truth, to hand it to you in a way that almost everyone can understand. But remember, people believe what they want to believe. And you can hit them with stats all day long, and they're going to go, no, that O'Reilly, he, whatever, blah, 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 blah. No, I'm a stat guy. I'm a fact guy. Kamala Harris will never be president. She won't get the nomination in 28. Thank you for listening and watching this YouTube extra bonus. We'll see you again soon.